Good evening, everyone. I am your host and instructor, Laney Shaughnessy, and welcome to Spindle TV, your best source for CNC CAD/CAM training videos. Spindle TV is brought to you by Digital Woodcarver, inspiring your creativity and providing you with the tools to create your own unique masterpieces. Hello. How's everybody doing? Hope y'all are doing well tonight. Welcome. Happy Monday to you all. Let's see here. Tonight we're going to make a project that requires some assembly. We're going to make a Nic Nac Shelf / spice rack, whatever you want it to be. It could be one of the others. I think mine that I'm going to make is going to be a spice rack. I want to welcome everybody that's popped in and joined me and everything. I think mine's going to be a spice rack. I've got, some general spices and everything, and I was just measuring the diameter because for the spice rack, I'm going to put circular pockets on the shelves to keep the spices spaced apart and everything, more so than just a flat shelf. Now, if I'm doing it as a Nic Nac shelf, then we'll do it as a Nic Nac shelf and stuff. Now, but it could be either or. We're going to go through the design phase of it and the joinery and stuff, and then we're going to put it all together and create the toolpath. Before we get started, I wanted to I've got something in my eye here. I wanted to show you. Last week we did the wall light project, and I'm still working on it. I haven't finished it yet. I think what I'm going to end up doing with this wall light, I've still got to finish the outside and everything. But what I think I'm going to do with this is I think I'm going to put a piece of glass on the back side, and I'm going to put a mirror type reflective film on there, the sunscreen protective mirror film. And what that's going to do is, because of the mirror in the background, it's going to turn it into an infinity mirror. So those lights and design and everything will just continue on and on, as if you're looking deep into a tunnel or something. And I think I'm going to end up turning it into an infinity mirror and all. But that was the wall light project that we worked on last week. And, if we pop up the side here, you can see the kerf cuts and everything. Those reliefs to get the side to wrap around and everything and stuff. So I haven't finished putting it together yet because, again, I think I'm going to put some glass on the inside with some mirror tint film on it, and that'll create an infinity light and all. So interesting little project there. It was fun. It's not done yet, but I wanted to share that with you. All right. So So, hopefully some of you visited that site, craftsmanspace.com, I believe it was, and got a hold of some of those patterns and everything. All right. So, for tonight's class, now, unfortunately, I had a spice rack file that was a free project of Vectric. Vectric. They've changed up their free projects and stuff, and they had one that I was going to show you to kind of show you like a finished piece that you could actually go and download off of the Vectric site. But I didn't see it. I went to the Vectric site earlier and I didn't see it. It might still be there somewhere, but I couldn't find that file on my computer. I know I had downloaded that project a long time ago, but I have no idea where it went to. So unfortunately, we're going to be starting from scratch. I don't have kind of like an example to show you. We're going to basically be building this from scratch and kind of go from there. I'm not going to say anything about the video and audio quality, but seems like things are running pretty smooth today. I don't want to jinx myself, knock on wood. But, you know, here's to you. That we get through this without any problems. Okay, so let's set that over so I don't spill it. Now, like I said, I think mine is going to be a spice rack. You know, for my spices and things in the kitchen. And so the diameter, I'm going to have pockets placed, you know, on my shelves to kind of space those the spices apart and all. And the diameter is pretty consistent depending on, you know, the container or the size or whatever. The diameter is pretty consistent, about 1 3/4 inch diameter. It's just a little bit shy of 1 3/4. So 1 3/4 inch diameter is going to be probably ideal, and that's gonna what that does is tells me a couple things. It tells me, you know, it kind of gives me an idea what my width and all should be and all that stuff, because I have not designed this yet. We're going to be designing it here, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of designing in SketchUp. For those of you that may be familiar with Google SketchUp and stuff, it's a CAD program that used to be offered by Google SketchUp, but now it's Trimble, I believe it is, or something like that. But SketchUp is a free program, and they do have paid versions of it, but it's a free program where you can model things up and stuff and all. And I think for the drawing purposes stuff, just so we can kind of get through and see that, I think I'm going to start in SketchUp so we can start to put it together, and then we'll import it over to the Vectric software and show you that process and stuff. But of course, all of this could be drawn up in Vectric, any of the Vectric software. The SketchUp software just helps kind of show like the full assembled project and things. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So I'm going to go with a full screen capture over here, and we should be looking at my desktop. And we're going to start off with, like I said, we're going to start off with SketchUp, Google SketchUp, and you'll get to see that. Now this project, I use version 8, which you know, I think after version 8 they started, you know, like a paid program and all, but you can still find the version 8 download on Google and things, and it's a pretty cool program to work with. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in the SketchUp. I'm going to just kind of lay out the project and all. So. And of course, in SketchUp, I'm not going to do the decorative shape of the sides or anything. I'm going to do all of that in Vectric, but at least it'll give us the opportunity to, hey, Steve Rice from Australia. It'll give us the opportunity to kind of take a look at things and stuff. So we have a 3D environment here within SketchUp that we can draw in. So the first thing is let's draw the sides. Now, on the sides, I believe I have decided that my sides of my spice rack, you know, coming out of the wall and everything, I think I'm going to go with 4.5 inches on the sides and stuff. And as far as the height, it's going to be a 3-shelf rack and everything. So I was thinking maybe about, you know, 20 inches. What I got to keep in mind is most of these bottles are about the same in height. So they are roughly around 4 3/8 inch tall, except for the little shorties, you know. And so that kind of tells me my shelf spacing and all. I'd like to have at least 3 shelves. So I believe 20 inches is going to be good. So let's go ahead and type in the 20, let's go 4, and I'm gonna go 4.5, and then 20 inches tall, and that's gonna make this little guy right here. Okay. Now I'm going to use 3/4 inch material for this, and so that will be that. And let's go ahead and let's get this upright. Let's say, oop, I don't want to do that one. Escape. Swing around there. There we go. 90 degrees. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and I don't know how wide I want it to be yet on the shelf. And again, I'm not doing the deck. I'll do all the decorative curves and everything of this. This is just going to be a rough layout and everything. But I think on the width of my shelf, I believe I am going to make a 15-inch wide spice rack. And so I can type in the 15 there, and that'll do that. Now, let's go to the back side of this real quick. And awesome, Mike Smith. Sorry to interrupt. Mike says he went to Five Below and bought his lights this past weekend. Man, that's cool. Yeah, Five Below is Five Below is a pretty cool site. I really only discovered it the other day when I bought my lights and everything. Now on the back of my spice rack, I'm not gonna leave it open. I'm going to have a piece of 1/4 inch, like birch plywood, real thin, something that you would see in the bottom of a jewelry box or something. And so I think I'm just going to go 1/4 inch birch. So what I want to do is I want to go 0.25 and give myself a guideline here. So that way I can come in here and snap to that guideline, and I can draw a line straight down. I'll get rid of those axes here in a minute. Let's do that. Let's turn off the view axes. There we go. And now what this allows me to do is I can push this back to create the rabbit on the back of this. And I think I'm only really going to go 3/8 of an inch on that rabbit. Now, when I created that rabbit, this is because I made a copy of this. It created a duplicate on the other side. And what I need to do now is, because it's a duplicate, notice my rabbit on this side is facing the wrong way. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and flip this, I think I need to flip it along the red axis. Oh, nope. Hold on, that was the wrong way. The blue axis. Flip it along the blue axis there, Laney. And what that'll do is that'll put that rabbit on the inside so they're facing each other. And then let's turn this on its side like this. And I'm going to have a backboard. So I'm going to basically have a backboard. Oops. Let's go like that. And let's spin this around. Woo. Okay, let's spin it around. Come on now. My orbit's acting up on me. Okay, and what that will allow me to do is I can pull this out and snap it to there to create that backboard. All right, so that's gonna, now again, and also my backboard is not gonna go that far up. It's not gonna go all the, is it gonna go all the way to the top? No, it's not. So let me pull that back down a bit. Probably right about here. So what that does is that just allows me to kind of, start to visualize this thing. All right, so now on the top, I want a decorative top here, coming across and everything. And so let's come back here and oh, Debbie Miller, real quick. Debbie Miller asked a great question. She asked, what is the name of the guy on YouTube you recommend to learn SketchUp? Jay's Custom Creations. Jay Bates is phenomenal in SketchUp. He is who I learned SketchUp from. He has a playlist of SketchUp tutorials, and I literally I didn't know anything about SketchUp, and I had a marathon, and I just watched all of his videos. I think he has like 50 of them. But man, they're phenomenal, and he's straight to the point. How to use this tool, how to use that tool. It was really great. It was a wonderful learning experience for me. But Jay Bates, Jay's Custom Creations on YouTube.com. Big shout out to Jay on learning SketchUp, because that's how I learned and everything and all. All right, so now here on this part here, I'm going to have a 3/4 inch backboard here. So I need to push this back further, but before I do, I need to draw a line here to kind of break up this segment. So I want to snap a line from here to here. And what that should do for me is I should now be able to just push just that top part, you know. And I was already back 1/4 of an inch, so I just need to go another 1/2 inch for a total of 3/4 of an inch there and everything. And now I can come in and put my kind of back in here. So let's go across to here, and we're gonna push pull this. Push pull means you know, I'm extruding it, and I'm gonna push pull it 3/4 of an inch. All right, so notice here that did I make that other side unique? Hold on, let me undo that real quick. For some reason, it did not match over here unless it's upside down. I bet you it's upside down. Let me look. It is. See up there? So, I need to take this piece and flip it one more time. Oops, not that way, you goofball. Bear with me. It's on the green axis. Flip along the green axis. There we go. And that puts that up at the top. Okay. Because this, whatever I draw on this one side should automatically mimic to the other side. And when it didn't, that let me know that I had it flipped the wrong way. So let's go back and put that piece back in here and everything. So once again, I'm going to go across to this side and then flip it around and push pull this 0.75 inches. Now, on the top here, I'm gonna push pull this up because I want a decorative top, but I can't make the shape if it's down flat like that. I can't draw it in, and I probably could, but I'd like to be able to do it here to kind of help me with my guide and everything. But I believe I got it up high enough where I want it. Let's take a look here. Let's measure from here to here, and it should be about 2 1/4 inches. That's good. And what I want to happen is I'd like about a 1/2 inch up. I want it to kind of square off and on both sides and then arch in the middle and everything. So I can use my tape measure here, and I can measure up 3/4 of an inch, 0.75, and hit enter, and it's going to give me this little mark right here. And what that will do for me is now I have a mark that I can kind of draw out. And I would like this this line here to go out, well, let's go all the way across and to that edge and everything, and that'll be fine. Now I need to find my center point. And so if I take my tape measure here, it gives me a guideline, and I should be able to snap to my center right here and everything. And what I'd like is, I'd like to have a small, I'd like to have an arch, but I think I would like to have a little another little decorative step up, 1/4 of an inch, and then it go into the arch. So let's come over here and let's go with my tape measure and all. I'm gonna go from here, and I went 3/4, so I'm just gonna go 1 inch, and that'll give me my 1/4 inch mark there. And again, I'm gonna just draw this across. Whoops, no, I don't want a guideline across. I want to draw a line across. and what I'll be able to remove any lines that I don't want to use. Now on my arch, I want that arch to come out quite a good ways. So I'm gonna say probably maybe about 2 1/8 inch from either side. So let's type in 2.125 over here, and now I can go ahead and draw my arch. Click once, twice, and 3 times a lady. Okay, and now on my step down here, where it's coming up to here, I'm going to probably come maybe 1 and 5/8. So that looks good on that side. Let's go 1 and 5/8, 1.625. And what this will do is this will give me a place where I can draw a line from here to there, and over on the same side here from here to here. And now I can go through and I can get rid of my guidelines. I don't need those anymore. And now I can go through and delete my lines. So we're going to get rid of this one. We're going to get rid of this one. We're going to get rid of this one in the middle and this one here. And that's going to give me my decorative top. Let's go ahead and get rid of that line. Oh, let's not do that just yet. Control Z. I'm going to push pull this one. So if I hit P, I should be able to push pull that back and get rid of that side. And over here, same thing, get rid of that side. And that's going to be my decorative top there. Now I can get rid of my 2 little guides right there. Oops, don't want to delete that line. Delete that guide and, oop, not that one. Zoom into that sucker, that little dot right there. Is he gonna, you gonna let me get rid of you or not? All right, he's gonna stay there because he ain't going nowhere. All right, so let's pull this back over. All right, so let's that's gonna be the top of my spice rack, and just something very simple. Now, mind you, my sides here are going to kind of contour into this back here. They're not going to be squared off like they are, but I'm not going to go into all that and stuff. I just want to kind of get the basic layout. Now, on my shelves, I'm going to have a bottom shelf that is just literally a rabbet joint in here. So let me go into this one here, and let's see. I'm going to go 0.75 and draw a line there. And what that should do is that should allow me to push pull that back. And I'm going to go 3/8 just like before. And now I can put my shelf in here. So I'll just rectangle. Draw a rectangle across here, and then I'm just going to get on this bottom side and push pull. Should have probably, yeah, let's do it a little bit different. Let's undo that. Let's draw that rectangle down here, and then I can push pull that up and to the top of that. All right. Now, once I have all these parts drawn, I can actually import them into the Vectric software, which you'll get to see here in just a second. I want to just go ahead and lay out the shelves and everything. Now, mind you, my bottles, they're going to be 1 3/4. Oh gosh, what's the math on that? 1 3/4 divided by 2. 1.75 divided by 2 is 7/8, I believe. 0.875. Okay. And those bottles are, like I said, they're standing roughly around 4 3/8. And Nick, give me a second. I'll get right to your question. So let's go 4 3/8. 4 3/8. So that'll kind of represent like a spice bottle. You know, oops. Before you draw anything, let's turn this into a component. And that way, let's do that one more time. 0.875. And then I can pull that up 4.375. And that way, because otherwise it will combine that with the rest of these. And the spice rack, when I do this, let's see here. I probably should be able to get. I don't want to go too far apart. And if I type in 1 2 3 4 X4, okay, and let's get them centered. All right, so that's kind of going to be my spice rack. So that lets me know roughly about where my shelf needs to be. And let's stop for a second. Let's ask a question. What software do you use for CAM on your CNC machine, Aspire? I use Vectric VCarve Pro, Vectric VCarve Desktop, and Vectric Aspire. Nick, I own all three of them. And it really just depends. 90% of the time I'm in Vectric VCarve Pro. The only time I'll jump into Aspire is if I need to do any modeling or something, and then I'll just use my Aspire. But if I was like when I jump over to draw this up, bring this over, it's going to be in the VCarve Pro. That's my typical go-to program to draw in, unless I need to do modeling, and then I'll use my Aspire. And the reason why I own all three is because I teach the software, so I have them all and everything. But my go-to is kind of Pro, and unless I'm modeling, then I jump in my Aspire and stuff if it requires Aspire features and all and everything. But that's typically what I use. Good question. Let's see here. Yeah, Donnie jumped in and helped answer that question about J-Base as well. Now, on my shelf, I don't want these bottles. They're going to be recessed a little bit into pockets. Now, of course, they're just sitting on this shelf now, but I'm going to have a small little recess and everything, and I'm going to have a small recess where I want those to be. And when I lift them up and everything, I don't want to sit there and have to try to fight them to get them out from under a shelf or something. I want to be able to just take them right out. So I don't want the shelf too low and everything. So what most likely I'm going to do is, I'm at 4 5/8 here, or 4 3/8 actually. So I'm going to go probably maybe 5 inches. Yeah, to the bottom of my shelf. That'll probably be good. And on my shelf, now my shelves are, unless I want in my 1/4 inch backboard to do a little a groove, a dado or groove. In this case, let's see here, it's going across the grain, it'd be a groove. No. Across the grain is a dado. Groove is with the grain. Unless I want to put a shallow groove for the shelf to butt into on the back, then I think my shelves are just going to slide in and butt up to this, and then I'll just pin nail it from behind or something. I'm not going to get too carried away with it and stuff. So my rabbets and everything here, what's going to, or not my rabbits, but my mortises, you know, dados, whatever you want to call them. Let's see, they need to be 0.75 inches tall, and then 4.25 wide, like that. And I should be able to push that back 0.375, 3/8, and everything. And notice whatever I do on the one side happens automatically on the other, and everything. And now that I have my measurement of 5 inches, and it's 5 inches from the top, so 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches, now I can go ahead and start laying out my other shelves while I'm in here. So let's go ahead and let's pull up 5 inches, and let's draw that rectangle. And again, it's going to be 0.75, comma 4.25, enter. I can push pull that back 0.375, enter. 3/8, you know, that's going to be shelf number 2. And then the last one, let's go up 5 inches. All right, it's bringing me right at the top, which isn't too bad. But what I'll do is, because I do want 3 shelves. What I will do is I will make 2 shelves of the tall spices, and then these shorter spice bottles are 2.5 inches tall. Literally 2.5 inches tall. So what that can do for me then is let's go up I'll have this shelf being the short stuff, so they're 2.5 inches tall, and I want to give myself some room. So let's go 3 7/8. Where you at? 3 7/8. All right, and then let's get rid of this guy, and let's draw in this one. 0.75 and 4.25, and then again I can push that back 3/8. Okay. Good. Now I can get out of that, and let's go ahead and draw in our shelves. So all I'm going to do is draw a rectangle across the front of this on all 3 of these. Oops, that one was in the wrong place. Let's undo that. And then from behind, I'm going to right click and hide this for a second, and then I'm just going to push pull that to there, that to there, and that to there, and then I can come in and unhide that back panel. All right, now what's important is on the spice rack and everything, I'm going to have some decorative carvings on the side. It's not going to be just plain Jane, boring and everything. And also on this, I'm going to have this kind of have a little bit of a decorative kind of style to it and not be so square. So what I have to keep in mind is that whatever I come out to and everything, that my shelf, especially my top shelf is going to be the main one. It's got to be sized, appropriately for whatever I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And stuff. So I want to keep that in mind. And heck, let's do it. let's do it. And then I want to get all these items over to Vectric. Let's stop for a second. And let's see here. Thank you very much. Looking forward to import on that. Also is going to be a video afterwards to reference to. Yes. So Nick says, is this going to be a video afterwards to reference to? Yes. All these videos, guys and girls, are recorded. Oops, don't do that. All these videos are recorded. So the minute that the stream ends, then we go live. You know, it goes live and stuff and everything. So let's get some color going in here and everything. And what I should do, I should actually, instead of using, I just wanted to show you what it looked like as wood, but instead of doing wood, I should do a color, and I should give these different colors. It'll make things easier, especially the face of these, because I want these faces facing up. So if I go in here, and I'm going to give like this 0018 brown, it's not really brown, it's more of a red. And everything, and if I give one of these faces some color, then I can actually choose that to be the face color when I'm importing into the Vectric. It'll ask me if there's a particular color that I want facing up, and I want those facing up, possibly. You know, who knows? All right, what I was saying was on the side here. So what I would like, and let's go ahead and let's draw this out and let's get her done. I'm going to go camera, standard view left, which is back on that case. Sorry, camera, standard view back. There we go. And what I'm going to do is, let's draw this out. So I'd like my top here to literally come right into this and everything, and I'm going to use my arc tool, and I want to come down to probably right about here and start to curve in. A nice little curve there, and do I want to go the full curve? Yeah, why not? I might decide to do something a little bit different in when I get to the Vectric, but let's take and get rid of that and get rid of that. And then I got to come in here and push-pull this. Oops. Stop. I want to pull that back to there. And what that will do is that will now allow me to come in here and delete these areas here and these lines. I don't want these extra lines coming into the Vectric software and everything. And all, and now I can take and push, get out of this, and then I can push-pull this here, and I want to literally snap to there, and I'm going to be rounding over this top shelf. I'll probably follow that arc and everything with a round over, whether I do it with sanding or what have you. And so what I want to do is I should be able to snap here and here and there, and then I should be able to push pull that all the way to there and get rid of that, so it kind of rounds off that shelf. Okay, so nothing, you know, right here in this software, nothing too exciting yet. But now it's time to take it over to the Vectric software, and this is where I'll most likely change up my design, because of course this is just plain Jane, the carcass, if you will. I've still got to do all the V carving and all that stuff, and all the decorative design and all. But in a nutshell, and notice that, hold on a second, I got to put a line back here. I deleted a line. You see how it's open, like an open cavity? Let me draw a line right from here to there to close that off. There we go. And there we go. But it's all plain Jane right now. But what this does is it helps me kind of get a visual of, you know, a starting point of what I want. It helps me figure out my, you know, my spices, and you know how many spices. It's going to be a small spice rack holding, you know, 5 on each shelf, and then of course the upper shelf is going to be short, and I think the upper 2 shelves are going to be my short bottles and everything, and then the 2 larger bottles on the bottom and everything. And so basically it would kind of look something like this. I just got to remember to delete these. And then one more time up here. Come on now. I'll shorten them up in a second, but let me get them back where they belong. Come on now. Doing a little dance with the bottles here. Stop. Got to zoom in. Sneak over. There we go. All right, now those, let me take and make this a component so I can hide it. And what that'll do is it'll allow me to, I've got it, since all these are copies, if I do one thing to one of these, it does it to them all. So I need to make these unique, which means make them individual items, make them unique. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to explode. I want to make unique, because they are copies. Anything I do to them will happen to the other side. And what I want to do is I want to be able to bring this down. And that bottle, shoot, I forgot to measure how tall that bottle was. I think I said it before. It is 2 5/8 roughly, so let me get my tape measure in here. 2 9/16, so I'm a 1/16 of an inch shy. So let's push that up 0.0625. There we go. And now I can come in and do all the rest of these, push pull, and I can just snap them to that. Push pull, snap to that one. Push pull, snap to the top of that one, and snap to the top of that one. Now I can come in and I can unhide, edit, unhide my shelf, and I can take these bad boys here and make a copy of them up on that shelf, and that would be roughly about like it when it's laid out and everything. Of course, all the hole positioning and all, you see how these are further back than these. Everything will be centered and stuff, and all. But what this does is basically just kind of allows me to have a visual of what's going to be happening and all. I may want this because I may want this arch higher because I want to put the word spices, or spices the happiness to life, something something corny. I want to put some kind of V carving or something in here, and stuff, and all. So All right, so we got these. We got a general idea how it's going to lay out. I haven't laid out any of my holes or anything. I'm going to do all of that in Vectric. This is just to give me a rough idea of what I want this spice rack to look like. So I do not want to copy these guys. I don't want to import these guys into the Vectric software. And so I don't need them anymore. They were just there for visual purposes and stuff. And I don't have to explode this, but what I do have to do is save it. So let's go File, Save As, and I'm going to save this in my desktop class files folder, and I'm going to call this Spice Rack. And once that's saved, now I can come on over to the Vectric software. I'm going to be working in Vectric VCarve Pro tonight. All right. Well, I know that the spice rack itself was 14 inches wide. I think 15. Let's double check that. My tallest piece is going to be this side piece here, so let's measure that. From there to there is 12, 8, 20 inches tall, and I believe it's, what did I say, 4.5 inches wide and everything. And my top piece here is, under 5 inches. So, and I want to make it a little higher. So now that tells me that for my piece, I want to go 24 inches in length. And now the width, I want to make this out of solid wood. And so I'm going to have, I'm not going to do this out of a sheet, out of one full size and everything. I want to make this out of solid wood. And so what I need to do is determine how wide my boards are going to be. And I think I'm just going to go with a standard 5.5, a 1x6. So 24 inches long and 5.5 inches wide, 3/4 of an inch thick. And for this, now again, I say this at the beginning of every video when I do a job setup, is I work off of my wasteboard as Z0. Now you can touch off on your wasteboard as Z0, or you can touch off on the top of your material for your Z0. It just depends on your setup and everything. My jig, my wasteboard is actually a clamping jig as well, and so I reference off of that. And so therefore you're going to see me use the machine bed as my Z0 position, but don't think that's what you have to do or what it has to be. You can work off the top of your material, or you can work off the bottom. I work off the bottom. And because my wasteboard has a clamping factor to it and everything, and I have a 90-degree fence, my XY start point is always the bottom left corner of the material. And again, for you, it could be the center, whatever the case may be. Okay. Now, I do have a 40-inch cutting area on my table, and if you don't, then you're going to probably make a smaller board, something like this, 24 by 5.5 or whatever. But I can go bigger. I can get 2 boards out of one if I wanted to and everything. But what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to go 36 inches on my length, and I should be able to get at least my top board and one of my side boards out of one and everything. Now, keep this in mind. Let's go ahead and click OK. Keep this in mind. My square panel, the back panel, that 1/4 inch plywood back panel, I'm not going to use my CNC to cut that out. It's just a square panel. So I'm going to use, a skill saw, a table saw. I have a table saw, but if you don't and you happen to have access to a skill saw or a jigsaw or something, you can use that. You can use your CNC as well, but the CNC is great for a lot of things, but it doesn't replace other tools in the shop. So I'm most likely my shelf boards and my backboard and stuff, I'm going to be, probably cutting those in my miter saw. I'll probably cut those boards down with my shop tools instead of my CNC. But you could do that. Now on my shelf boards, I am going to be pocketing holes for the spices. So those shelf boards, they're going to be cut down to size. On my chop saw or with a skill saw or a jigsaw or whatever tool, bandsaw, whatever you have at your disposal. But I will be clamping them to the table, and I will be putting in their holes and stuff and everything with the CNC. I will be pocketing them with the CNC. So let's go ahead and let's import our file. So if I come over to class files and I click on Spice Rack, because one of the files that we can import is an SKP file, a SketchUp file. I'm going to go ahead and import this, and what it's going to ask me is it's going to auto orientate. Okay, so it's going to be an exploded flat view, by the way. It's not a three-sided view, it's just a flat view. Which means I'll get the vector lines and stuff. And I could auto-orientate with the largest face being the top face, or I can orientate by material, the face with the selected color is the top face. And if you recall, I chose that 0018 brown there and everything. And so by choosing that, that'll at least ensure that my two side parts, that the top face, which is going to be where the dados or the grooves are and things, will come up. As far as the gap between the parts, I don't care, because I'm going to be nesting them in and everything here in a moment. So 1 inch is fine. Create circles for polygons, I'll have default checked, and then any grouped, my group. It's asking if I want to group imported parts, which basically it creates a group for each component and everything. I do that, and I do keep the components together, kind of side by side and stuff. So I have 6 parts coming in all together, and let's verify that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then that back piece would be 8. So there's 8 parts that I have, but I think it's counting these shelves and everything that I duplicated and copied and all as 1. Let's find out. Let's see what it says here, because it says I've got 6 parts. And so let's import those in and let's see what we've got. So we've got our 2 side shelf boards. We've got our back panel. We've got our top board that had that round over on it. That's what those vector lines are here, that round over. And then I have 2 additional. I've got my looks to be my bottom shelf here, and then another shelf. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all day long. What am I missing? 1, 2. Oh, my back piece, my back plate. And so let's go back over here and let's find out why my back plate is missing. Aha. Let's take that back plate and make it a component. Okay. So now let's do that one more time. I'm going to Control Z this, and I'm going to import that. Oh, let's save. Let's save. File, save. Is there another one that's not a component? That's a component. That's a component. Alright, so let's make them all components. Bear with me a second. G for component. This one too. G for component. Alright. Now let's import that in. Oops. Save your work. File, save. Now let's import these in. Eight parts. There we go. Click OK. Alright, there's my 8 parts. Okay. Well, one, right off the bat, I'm going to ungroup these. Now I'm in the Vectric software, so now this is my my realm. You know, I'm not very proficient in SketchUp, so that wasn't a SketchUp tutorial by any means. That was just to show you kind of how I approach some of my project designs and stuff to help me lay things out. All right, so of course I do not need my back panel in this. That is a given. My 1/4 inch back panel is getting cut. My shelves and everything, and notice this shelf has a groove missing, you know, or a line here, this groove line here and everything. And I'm going to assume that that groove line, if I were to hide this, let's see. Bear with me. I'm trying to see which one of these would be that line. Aha. It is that. Is it that? I don't know. Well, that line doesn't need to be there because nevertheless, that line doesn't need to be there, so it's going to get deleted. Because I should have just regular 3 standard shelves, which again, I'm going to be putting holes in these for the that's my roundover shelf right there. And if you recall, remember that it came up over here earlier. It's not there now. That's my roundover shelf. So that's showing me where my roundover is. So I put that line back. I undid that. All right, let's go ahead and let's get these kind of moved off of the board here for a moment. Let's get these up off of here. And I'm just going to move them off to the side. All right, so let's start with nesting these parts together, or not, no, I'm sorry, making sure that anything that is not grouped together is grouped. So group that together, group that together, group that together, and then of course my 3 blanks I don't need to do anything with. All right, with these all selected, I want to nest these. Nesting means I want to organize them on my material to minimize my waste and maximize my yield. So the tool that I'm going to be cutting these out with is going to be a 1/4 inch end mill. And I don't need a whole lot of clearance. Clearance is basically the tool diameter plus a space. I don't need a whole lot of clearance on these, but I will give it some. So I'm going to give it a 1/16 of an inch of clearance, and then the border gap is how far away from the edges of my board I want to be. And I would like my clamps to be around the edge, so I do want to be off the edges a little bit, you know. I'm going to allow these parts to rotate 90 degrees for best fit if needed. I do not want to mirror the parts, and I do not want to allow parts inside of others because there's no inside waste area getting away with it and all. So let's go ahead and preview this. And what this is going to do is going to lay out my boards. So if we look here, active sheet number 1 is going to be a side and a shelf. Active sheet number 2, the other side and another shelf. Active sheet number 3 is going to be a shelf and then the top piece. And then active sheet number 4 is just going to be my rounded over shelf. So it's going to take me 4 boards to, you know, at a 5.5 inch by 36 inch length. It's going to take 4 of them to cut these parts out and stuff, and everything, you know. Now the one thing I'm going to make sure of, absolutely make sure of, is that my side pieces, that the bottom side of my board is going to be what's facing out, right? What's going to be seen when it's hanging on the wall and all. So I want to make sure, absolutely sure, that you know, on these parts, that my good face goes down on the board, and my not so good face, hopefully they're both decent, are, you know, facing upward and stuff, because I want that nice look on the outside. And I'm gonna, you know, my boards, I'm most likely, when I buy my 8-foot long boards, you know, and stuff for this, I'm most likely going to do my best to match up a really nice pattern for the sheet 1 and sheet 2, my 2 side pieces and all. And then I'm definitely going to make sure that my upper piece that I'm going to carve on and all, I'm going to make sure that that has a nice look to it as well. Now, speaking of my upper piece, let's go to that active sheet here. It's upside down. And what I definitely want to do is I want to mirror that, because I want to put some V carving and stuff in there. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go into our mirror tool, and I just want to, don't want to make a mirror copy. I'm going to flip it about the job center and just flip it vertically, you know, just flip it upward, you know. And because I want to do some V carving in here, I might put something in, and I might want to change my arc and all that stuff. All right. And all right, let's go ahead and let's get the holes laid out for the spices and everything. And if I look, which I deleted all of them, that was silly. That's all right. I don't need to worry about that. If I go into my circle tool here, we can go ahead and get a circle drawn out. And oh shoot, what did I say my diameter was? Hold on a second. I'm gonna remeasure my diameter. 1 3/4. 1 3/4 inches. 1 3/4. So 1.75. Okay. Now, I know that I can get 5 across, so I'm going to hold my control key down and I'm going to drag out, you know, until I have 5. Don't care what order they're in and all that stuff and everything, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all of those circles first, and then I'm going to select the rectangle last. And I'm going to use my alignment tool to help me align to that last item. I want to center those circles. I want to center those circles in that last rectangle that I selected. And right now they're all stacked on top of each other. And so now I want to go down, and inside that last vector, I want to space them horizontally. And so that will space them evenly for me and everything. That'll give me my equal distance spacing and everything. I pretty much can, let's open up my nesting tool again, and let's switch to active sheet number 1. And I could pretty much rinse and repeat that. So 1 3/4, double click on it, hold down my control key and just drag out, you know, 4 more. Oops. Select them first, hold down the shift key, select the rectangle last, use my alignment tool, center them, and then space them inside that last selection evenly. Alright, with that one done, I can now go back into my nesting tool and go to active sheet number 2 and rinse and repeat. 1.75. Double click, control key, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, holding the control key down each time. Select those, then the rectangle, and then align center, and then space horizontally. All right. And last but not least, let's do that one last time on the shelf board, top shelf board. So active sheet number 4. All right. Circle tool, click, hold the control key down, and I'm holding the control key down as I drag out these other copies. Okay, holding it down, not letting it go. Now I can select those, hold my shift and grab this last rectangle once again. Now on this rectangle, when it centers, it's going to center to this inside line here, because that is grouped. So what I want to do is I'm going to briefly ungroup this. And ungroup is the 5th icon on the first row of the Edit Objects menu, or it is the U key on your keyboard. Because I want to select this outer perimeter here. That's the one I want to align to. So let's select these first. Hold down the Shift key, select that outer perimeter, and align center, and then space. Alright, so now I've got all my vectors for my holes and everything. Now I really want to take a strong, hard look at my side pieces and everything. And whatever I do now from this point on, let's go back to active sheet number 1 here. Whatever I do to change this side piece, if I change it in any way or anything, then I most absolutely want to make sure that I either copy and paste, get rid of this one over here and make another copy of it, so they're both identical. I don't want to make them not identical. Now, for a you got to remember something is on the other side of this face, I'm going to be V carving. I'm going to be putting a decorative design, and right now we're seeing the inside face here and stuff, where these pocket cuts and everything you got to be and all that. So on at least 2 of these boards here, it's going to be basically a 2-sided job, because I'm going to be flipping the board over to carve on the 2 sides. So what I have to determine for myself is, do I want to use a little bit because I really don't need to flip the shelf here. Let me group those together. I don't really need to flip this whole board, just this one part. So the question I ask myself at this point is do I move this up a little bit? Let's cancel on this. Do I move this up a little bit and put my alignment holes in and everything, and because I'd be flipping along the y-axis, and just cut a board that is going to be the length of 20.5 inches, 20 and 9/16, somewhere around there. But that is going to be the question of the day, because I will be carving on the back side of this. So how we end up carving the board is going to just kind of, am I going to cut a shorter board and just, 2 of them the same, do my V carvings, set them up as a 2-sided job, and then so I can do my pocket cuts and all that and everything. Probably so. Okay, let's get this going here. Now, some very important things is happening with the joinery. And let me get rid of this measurement so that line running across there isn't throwing you off. We'll figure out how I'm going to flip this board in just a moment. Let's get the design and everything laid out. But let's look at how the SketchUp comes in with these files and all. So you'll see here that I have a rectangle here, and then I have a rectangle here, and I've got a rectangle here with this curve on it. And so all of these vectors are individual. But then I have, and I have this, this pocket area here is an individual vector. But if I were to delete that, I'm still going to have that shape there, but now I have my perimeter board, right? And everything. And I've got this vector here, which is not, these are the squares, going around here. They're stopping at that rabbit and everything. So what I need, and I just undid, Control Z is undo, but what I need to be aware of is that this is going to be one of my vectors for my pocket cutting and stuff. And what I need to happen is when that bit is coming in and cutting these grooves out and all, I want it to pass beyond my board here. I want to create a nice clean cut. And this is all getting rabbited out here. I want to make sure that my bit, comes and does a clean cut. But what I have to realize now is that right here, I'm not going to get a square corner. My router bit is round. And I'm using a 1/4 inch end mill. And so let's pop a 1/4 inch end mill there. And when I'm cutting out this pocket and everything, I'm going to get a radius there. Now I do not want to radius the front bottom of my board, that top board that goes in here and everything. I want it to, nice and square. So what I need to do is I need to create a fillet here, a place for that router bit to go, but it still provides me with a square corner. And yes, I'm going to have a fillet on the inside, but it's not going to be noticeable. It's it's not even going to hurt anything aesthetically and all. So it's important that I come over to my fillet tool and I make sure that I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch bit, which is a 1/8 inch radius, and I need to add a not a fillet. Sorry, I need to add a dog bone fillet. Here to basically pop that out. So, and what you're seeing is if I were to delete this vector right here, is now this is my my router bit's going to come and it's going to escape here and everything, and that's going to give me a nice square place for my top shelf to go into and everything when it fits in. It's going to give me a nice place for my corner to go without having to round off that front edge and everything. So I want to make sure that I put that fillet in, and I need to do that on both pieces and stuff. Okay, now these flats here, those vectors, do not need them, delete them. So I'm going to select that one. This one, delete. I'm hitting the delete key. This one, delete. Get rid of that. And that should leave me with just these rectangles here where my dados are going to be. Okay. And then I should have my rabbit area here for where this dado is going to be. So now on this back side, so now my router bit's going to come in. It's got a place to escape, when it's clearing this out. But I want to make sure that my router bit clears this bottom edge so I get a nice flat edge. And so what I want to do with this is I want to make this rabbit here, I want to bring it down a bit, not like that, homeboy. All right, bear with me. Killing me. Let's go into node editing, and I'm going to cut the vector here and here for a minute. All right, so I want to bring this vector down a little bit, not much, just a little bit, so my router bit clears it and everything. And then I need to rejoin these vectors and stuff. And the same thing up here as well. But if I stretch this, it's changing my design. You know what I mean? So I don't want to do that. So what I want to do is I'm going to go into node editing, and I'm going to cut the vector here as well. And on this vector, this top line, I want to bring that out a bit. Again, just so my router bit can clear to give me a nice cleaned edge. And now that I've done that, I can go ahead and take and select all of these vectors and rejoin them with a straight line 1, 2, 3 times. And of course, notice it didn't let me do it. I got to do it one at a time. So rejoin with a straight line, that'll do that one. Now I can select this one over here and click that line twice. Now notice what happened here. When it joined with a straight line, it joined these angles. And that's not, it's not a big deal because my piece is still square, right? This is just where my router bit is cutting. But if this was an important part and that was a no-no and we couldn't do it, then instead of using the join with a straight line tool, and let's go in and cut this vector here real quick. Bear with me a second. Delete that spam. Instead of join with a straight line tool, I could use my extend tool. And my extend tool allows me to click and then click again, and it'll square off to that corner. Same thing here. If I click here and then click here, it'll wrap and square off that corner. So if it's absolutely an imperative thing, you know, that vector, that it not do that, you know, not get a shortcut in it basically, then use your extend tool to extend the lines over to and everything, and make sure you do that. Here, you know, we can just extend from there to there. Okay, so now even though I've extended those lines, they are not joined together. Okay, they are not joined together. So I have to select all 4 of those and go to my join open vectors tool, and with those 3 vectors selected, I can now join them into one closed vector. Okay. All right. Now let's stop here for a minute. Nick throws in another question. Could you bring that down to the XY0, and then once you flip it, change the XY0 to the other corner? Yes, to answer your question, Nick, what Nick is saying is, could I not take, let's close this tool. Always close your tool when you're done. Could I not take this down to the XY0 here, and then when I flip the board, make the other side XY0? In theory, Nick, that, you know, is fine. The only thing is I've got this measured out at a 5.5 inch board. If my board is 5.55 inches, 5.6, 5.45, you know, and it's not a true 5.5, then I'm going to be off. I'm much better off using alignment pins and flipping this board and aligning it with the alignment pins to ensure that I am exact on both sides. Moving it down to that corner and flipping it and then just changing the XY. By changing the XY, if my board is a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, well, now my XY is completely different from where it was supposed to be. So from this corner to here, my XY being 0, if I change it around when I flip the board, then I'm completely off. If my board is not dimensioned perfectly. And so I'm much better off putting some alignment pins in here and doing it that way and everything. All right, let's ungroup this again. Now on my rabbits here, now these rabbits and all are grooves. The bottom one's a rabbit. I need to extend this in 2 different directions. So I'm going to hold my shift key and I want to bring it out a little bit here, but I also want to bring it out a little bit here. Doesn't need to be that much. Something like that. I want, when I'm pocketing that out and everything, I want my bit to be able to clean up all of these edges so I have a nice flat rabbit and all. The rabbits here, I just need to extend them in 2 different directions. So I just want to basically clear the front of my piece. When that profile cuts this part out and all, I get a nice clean rabbit. So I'm going to do this for all 3 of these. Just hold down the shift key and extend them out ever so slightly. Hold down my shift key and extend them out ever so slightly. Okay. All right. So let's create the toolpath on just this one piece so you can kind of see where we're heading with this and why we're extending those vectors out and everything, and hopefully it'll kind of just like click, like, oh, I get it now, you know, which you probably already get it, you know, but for some of the new ones, or like, you know, someone who's new with us, what's the purpose of doing that? Let me create a toolpath, my pocket toolpaths and everything on this, and show you. Now, all of these pockets are going to be cut with a 1/4 inch end mill. All of these pockets are going 3/8 of an inch deep. So I can, you know, basically select all of them, not my outside perimeter, but all of those, and I can run one pocket toolpath on it. And so my cut depth would be 0.375, and I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch end mill. And let's see here, it's doing it in 3 passes. What do I got the thing set at? 1/8 of an inch per pass, 3/8. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I want to offset cut this, not raster cut it. I want to offset it, and I do like adding ramps, so I'm going to put a 3/4 inch ramp in here, and we're going to put this as sheet 1. The side side 1 here, let's do this, sheet 1, side 1, pocket. Just, you don't have to name them, but it's nice to name as you go. 0.25 end mill EM. It's nice to name them as you go so you can kind of help keep them organized. Now you can also use the default names that are provided and everything. And so with that pocket cut there, I want you to notice something. I want you to notice that one of my vectors is missing here, and everything. So we need to go back and figure out what happened, you know, in this to have it not pocket out properly. You know what I mean? So let's open that back up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this bottom a little bit more. And let's select that again. And calculate. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and do a profile toolpath just so you can see it when it's fully cut out. Let's put a profile toolpath in this as well. Let's go 3/4. Now I'm going to change this profile toolpath depth because it is going to be a 2-sided project. So I'm going to cut halfway through on one side, halfway through on the other. But I do want to cut it out just for this preview purpose only right now for you guys and girls, and everything. So I'm not going to add tabs or any of that stuff and all. And this is going to be sheet 1, side 1, profile, 0.25 end mill. Now, I will come back and recalculate this because I'm going to cut halfway through on one side, halfway through on the other, because I will be flipping this board, this particular board. But let's take a look at what we got. So we got our pocket cuts here. Let's stop that because I've got my, let's stop that for a second. I've got my preview simulation turned up to extremely high. I was looking at something earlier, and let's try that again. Okay, let's tilt this. Let's get over here and let's tilt this to the side so you can see what's going on. So right away, you can see the little dog bone fillet where the router bit gave me that corner and all. Now let's run the profile cut, and because I extended these vectors, allowed that bit to get out here and you know, clean out a little further away from the profile. Now when that profile cut comes along, what that's going to do for me is that's going to give me my nice clean edges and my nice clean rabbets and everything for my parts and all. If I would not have oversized these you know, rectangles here, if I would have, let's go back to its normal size here. If I would have left it its size, and let's run that pocket cut again, and let's reset this. And of course, that's my troublesome child there. Hold on a minute. Alright, let's reselect these vectors and let's calculate that. Alright, and let's do the profile cut. If I would have let the vectors right on the lines, now of course I had to make that one smaller and all, but if I would have put it right on the lines, what would have happened was it would have been open here. There would be no wood here, but I'd have this little hook of wood, that radius and everything, and I wouldn't end up with the nice clean pockets and stuff. So we extend those vectors beyond the profile line to ensure that our bit clears that profile line and gives us those nice clean edges. So let me recalculate this, and you'll see as I run this toolpath again, you'll see it be able to clear up those edges and all, give me that nice square cut. That's why we do it. All right. I've harped on that long enough. Okay, let's see here. Oh, thanks, Nick. Nick throws in that increasing step over on your passes will really decrease cut time in pockets. I find around 70-80% works best. Are you talking about on the you're talking about on the step over for the tool? I run, you know, the rule of thumb generally is 50% the tool diameter or less, but absolutely you could run the full diameter, 80%, 75%. So what Nick is saying is right now, if we looked at the time for this pocket cut, based on my feeds and speeds, it's 15 minutes, right? So if I were to come in and edit this and change that step over to, let's say, 75% and everything, and calculate that, if we were to look at the time, you know, I brought it down, I've saved 3 minutes, you know, on that time and everything on that piece by increasing my step over and stuff on that. Generally, as a default, your step over is 50% the diameter of the bit or less. But you can go 100%, 90%, 80, 70, anything within that realm. So the comment you see in the comment section from Nick is 75 to 80% will help reduce some of the time. And yeah, it does. We shaved off 3 minutes, and in the overall scheme of things, if it was a bigger project and all, that might make a huge difference. That 3 minutes adds up. 3, 6, 9, can definitely reduce it quite a bit. Way to go. All right. So let's get back to here now. So we've got that. So now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and knock out our thinking here. And I think what I need to do is I need to change up some things so I can, because I want to carve the other side of this and it's going to be flipped over. So what I need to do is put in 2 alignment holes, and I guess all right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just cut these boards down to a certain length, and I'm gonna run each of these pieces individually, because these 4 shelves, 1, 2, or 3 shelves, they're identical, 100% identical, right? So one set of tool paths for this will do all 3 of them, right? My pocket cut here and everything, my tool path that I run for the top piece and actually all of these pieces. So here, let's do this. Let's change it up. I'm going to leave these vectors the way they are, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these guys and I can move these to different sheets. And so I'm going to move these vectors to my default sheet here. So when I come back into my nesting, it's the only way I'm going to be able to grab all of these guys, is I can go back to sheet 0, my default sheet, and I'm basically, it's almost like manually unnesting these parts, right? So let's close this and let's cancel that. What I'm going to do is I'm literally going to drag these back over just like they weren't nested. And I got to go each active sheet. So active sheet 1 is done. Active sheet 2, I got to take these guys and move them to my default sheet. Go back to my default sheet, and it's like reverse nesting, and I'm just moving them off over here. Come back in and let's go to sheet number 3. And had I thought this out a little better earlier, a moment ago, I wouldn't be doing this at all. So move sheet, move to default sheet, come back to my default sheet, and move them back over there. And then finally sheet number 4, let's move that to the default sheet, and let's take and come back over here. Okay, so let's go in here and let's change up our job size a little bit. I know my side pieces are 20 inches, right? So I'm just going to use 20-inch boards and all, or not 20-inch boards. I'm going to probably go 22 inches. I'll cut them down. My shelf boards are pretty much going to be exact, but it's okay. I'm going to have a little bit of waste this way, but not too terrible. Not too terrible. All right, now I've got all these sheets and everything because, you know, nesting is kind of, you know, active, and there's really no way to kind of reset it. So we're gonna, you know, you're gonna see these different 4, you know, sheets here and everything, 4 boards. And I may keep nesting, you know, I may, you know, move things over, but all I know is this guy right here, I'm going to hit F9 and get him on my board. Okay. The toolpath I create for him is going to cut, I'm going to cut basically 3 boards, or 4 boards, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, my 4 shelves identically. Okay. So I'm going to have my pocket toolpath and a profile toolpath, and I'm going to run that 4 times on that board. It's not a 2-sided, you know, this one's not 2-sided. There's nothing on the bottom side of these things and everything. So I don't really need to do anything with these other guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them off to the side. Do I have to move them off to the side? Is that important? Do you have to move? Can you just leave them there? Yes, I can just leave them here. But now, mind you, this one's got a round over on the front to follow that curve. I'll deal with that off the table. I'll probably end up using an orbital sander or something and kind of sand that, form that myself. I could use a round over, but I'd have to find a round over with a radius that matches the curve of what my side piece is going to be. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and move this over to sheet 1, right? Good as done. All right, I'm going to take this guy here and get him F9 center on the board, and I'm going to move him to sheet number 2. My side here, going to hit F9, get him centered on the board, right click and move him to sheet number 3, and then F9, and I'll move him to sheet number 4. Okay, so sheet number 3 and sheet number 4. Let's start with 3. Sheet number 3. Let's get our alignment holes set up. So let's go ahead and change up this job a little bit. I'm going to set it up as a double-sided job, and I'm going to click OK. I don't want to recalculate any toolpaths yet because I'm redoing them. And with my circle tool, we're going to draw in a 1/4 inch diameter anywhere. They don't have to be asymmetrical or anything like that, or, you know, they don't have to be symmetrical where you place them and all and everything. All right, so what I'm going to do for my alignment holes and for this outside profile, where's my outside profile? Well, hell, for all these, I'm just going to copy to the other side. Okay, and now when I flip over to the other side, I'll have my back side, and those vectors are going. These vectors on this side can go bye-bye. So I should just have my profile there. That way I can do my decorative carving. All right, so that one's taken care of. Let's go back to the front side. It's not taken care of, but as far as layout, it is. Let's go to sheet number 4 and let's get that one laid out. And on sheet number 4, let's drop in an alignment hole. Actually, I'm going to go here and here this time. I could go side to side straight across, you know, and all. I like doing diagonals. I don't know why. But let's take these guys and actually not all of them, just that, and that, and copy to the other side. Okay. All right. So let's get rid of some things. I'm back on sheet number 3. Sheet number 3, let's get rid of some things. Let's get rid of this rectangle here, this rectangle here, and you barely see them get highlighted with pink. but they are being selected. So I am actually deleting something. You know, I'm deleting that basic. It's like a duplicate almost. So that leaves me with just my profile and then all of these pockets and everything. So once again, I can take these parts here, and all I'm doing is extending them beyond the profile line, just like I did with the other piece. Ever so slightly. Now on the bottom one is not only getting extended on the two ends basically, but also on the bottom it's getting extended past that bottom piece as well. Okay, same thing here. Now remember, on this one I need to cut the vectors, because if I go sizing this, it's going to want to stretch them in inappropriate ways, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to cut the vector here, and that's that angle that you saw prior to on that pocket and everything, but I'm going to cut the vector down here. And then over here, I'm going to cut the vector. And what this is going to do is going to allow me to take and bump that up just past the profile line. Don't have to be far. Bump this one over. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this little hook. It's a span. I'm going to delete that span, because I'm going to come in and use my extend tool and extend from here to here, extend from here to here, and then on this back side extend from here to there. Okay, and again, they're not grouped together. They're not grouped. I'm sorry, group is the wrong term. They're not joined together until I come over and join them and close them up as one vector. All right. So these two toolpaths here are identical for this piece. And I've decided I'm going to leave this curve. I'm not going to do anything different with it and stuff. I'm just going to do something decorative on the other side. But these two toolpaths are identical. So I really can just, if I want to, I can duplicate these guys. And I just have to, rename them. And this is sheet 3. I got to go change the other one as well. Sheet 3, side 1, pocket cut. This one here was, rename that. That was sheet 3, side 1, end mill. And these up here, that was sheet 4 for the other one. So let's rename that and change that. Oops. Well, that was nice of it. I hit recalculate, not rename. Rename. Sheet 4. And I'm naming these based on the sheet numbers. You'll see the sheet numbers down below. All right, let's go back up. We're in sheet 3, so let's open up sheet 3 pocket cut here. First of all, let's uncheck all these vectors so it doesn't confuse you. But let's go back to our sheet 3 pocket cut, and that's going to be these pockets here. So we're going to select all of these. Okay, and we're going to calculate. Everything stays the same. We're going to calculate that. Okay, nicely done. And then on the profile, this is going to go 3/8 of an inch deep. 3/8. Okay, because I'm going to carve on one side and then carve on the other. Now, I want to add tabs on this profile. So I want to add a 1/16 of an inch tab on each side, which is going to give me a 1/8 inch total tab. Okay, they're going to meet in the middle. And so what I'd like to do is let's edit some tabs here, and let's throw a tab back here and here. Let's try that again. There we go. Make sure you have your vector selected before you start adding tabs where you think you're adding tabs. All right, so only 2 on the back and really only need 2 on the front. I'm staying away from the curve. I don't want to do a whole lot of sanding. So, yeah, 2 and 2, that's fine. All right, let's calculate this out. Okay, so if we were to preview those visible toolpaths, we're going to get our pockets 3/8 of an inch deep. We're going to get our profile cut 3/8 of an inch deep, and then at the bottom of that profile, which you'll see in the 4 spots, you will see the partial tabs and everything going on there. Okay, okie dokie. All right, now that we've got that, let's do our alignment holes. So these are going to be my alignment holes in my board. So it's going to be a drilling operation for me, cutting 3/8 of an inch deep. Always in my board I go 3/8 of an inch, and in my waste board I go 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to peck, and this is going to be sheet 3 board alignment holes. Okay, 0.25 end mill. Calculate that out. All right, that I'm going to put up to the top of the list, or at least above sheet 3's pocket, right before it. Let's get sheet 4's together. Let's get all the sheet 3's together. There we go. Board alignment hole, pocket cut, profile cut. Done and done on that side. Okay. Let's switch over to sheet 4 real quick. And once again, let's get sheet 4 knocked out. So I'm going to duplicate these alignment holes. Might as well. And I'm going to rename this duplicate that I just made. Sheet 4. And I'm going to move it down. There we go. All right, let's open this up and let's select our alignment holes here and here. And calculate. Now, notice I had a extra set of lines there because I had an extra toolpath checked off up there. All right, so there's my 2 holes, my 2 alignment holes. Let's preview that. Okay. Now, notice my pocket here. It'd help if you reset the board, Laney. Let's do that again. Preview. There's my alignment holes. Then my pocket cuts are going to be the pockets. And then on sheet 4, got a profile cut. Cutting halfway through, not all the way through, buddy roll. 3/8 of an inch. Add tabs. Edit tabs. Let me go back to, bear with me. Let me go back to sheet 4 there. Edit tabs. Alrighty, Aphrodite. Let's do that one more time. Let's review all three of these real quick. Preview visible toolpaths. Got our pockets. Bam, bam, bam. Back pocket. And then our profile cut with our tabs cutting halfway through. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and let's flip this over. And let's run our holes for our wasteboard. Now this is where the board gets moved out of the way, and then I run a drilling tool path into the wasteboard, and I only cut 1/4 of an inch in my wasteboard using a 1/4 inch end mill and pecking. And this is my sheet 4 wasteboard. It's very important that I put in the word wasteboard. Alignment holes, so I know which one. For me, it lets me know which one gets cut into my wasteboard table. All right, now we can do our profile cut on this. It's going to be a profile. Wait a minute, we still got to do a design. Let's do the profile toolpath, but now we got to do our design. We got to decorate this bad boy, and then we got to wrap her up here shortly. Here, okay, 3/8 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch end mill, cutting on the outside of the line, add some tabs. Now I want these tabs to be exactly in the same place as the other tabs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip back over to the front side real quick, and I'm going to copy this to the other side and then come back here. And when I select this vector, the tab should be there. Now it's a duplicate. I did create a duplicate. But that's okay for me because of the simple fact that it'll ignore the other one. So when I calculate this, it'll ignore that other vector, and I don't need to sweat it. Now, if I were sweating it, then I could slightly bump up one, grab this other vector that I don't want, and hit delete, and then bump it back, bump this back down into place, if I wanted to. Don't need to, because it ignored it anyway. All right, so let's preview that bad boy. Let's preview what this looks like. Preview selected toolpath. So now for sheet 4, minus the decorative carving, we're about to do some decorating. Okay, so we got that, and then if we run these 3 guys, okay, I should end up with my part ready to go with my tabs in the middle, holding it securely and everything, and that one's done. But it's not done because we got to decorate it. Let's jump back over to the bottom side here, and let's figure out what kind of pattern, what kind of thing we want to do. Also, keep this in mind too. Do you guys with it being a spice rack, you might want to put a dowel rod, like let's say a 1/4 inch dowel or 1/8 inch dowel or something, running across the front of this to keep the spices from tilting forward or falling out. Think about that as well. If you're gonna, those type of things. I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, Dave, I'm right on it, buddy. We'll start right over here in a second. Actually, it's almost gonna be like starting over because we're about to do board number 3 the same way we're doing board number 4. But welcome, glad you're here, bud. All right, so let's decorate this thing up. So what I'm going to do is, so I can kind of visualize it upright, I'm just going to hit the number 9 key on my keyboard just for a minute, just to turn it upright for a second, so I can visualize what pattern and everything that I want and all. And for me, it sounds stupid and silly, but I got this thing about parrots, and stuff and all, and I might, I might want to put some kind of tropical flowers with a parrot on here or something, carve on the side. And so you don't have to do what I do, but you know, I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's see if I can see if I can go online here and grab a tropical flower real quick, because I've already got I've already got the parrot. So what I'm doing here is on Google, I'm just typed in tropical flower vector. Now you're not seeing what I'm doing on Google here, and all I'm doing is I'm just grabbing a, and I bear with me, tropical flourish. And what I'm looking for, and they might not have anything good, that's why I didn't want to bring it over onto the screen, is I'm looking for some kind of like flourish that would fill up the whole side there almost, but not be too cheesy and things. And I think all of these suck. I know you want to see this. There, let me move it over here so you can see. I just don't want to be, you know, showing a lot of people's pictures. Okay. Let's see here. See, I'm looking for a flourish that, you know, pretty much has a rectangular type design. You know, like that would go up the side, you know, be like a nice, you know, type pattern and stuff. But I don't want it to be too cheesy looking. And all. Let's see here. All right, tracing an image. I'm just gonna slide this over. Not a whole lot of detail in that one. I'm not really happy with it, but we'll see how it does. All right, let's hold down our shift key, select this, and come into our alignment tool and align to center and then bottom like that. Ooh, don't do that. Okay. I'd want something a little bit more detailed, but let's grab my parrot here, DXF, DXF, DXF. All right, let me size him down. My tropical spices. I don't know.
let's get him centered. See, I was hoping to find a bunch of magnolia or whatever those things are, tropical flowers like that, for down here. But if I don't like it, I'll end up changing it. But what's going to happen is I'm actually going to put a rectangle around this. I want these to be raised up. I want everything in between to be cut away. So what I need to do is I need to come in here and draw a rectangle. And let me get this thing sized just right the way I want it, the rectangle. And I'm going to show you how to trim and get rid of everything on the outside of a vector. Okay. Alright, so with that selected, if I go in, I've got my grouped item here. If I hold down my shift key and select that rectangle there, I can now come in and subtract everything from that boundary, that last item that I selected, that rectangle, and I can clear everything outside of that boundary away. Just kind of clear everything away and just in there. Now on this rectangle is actually a little bit smaller than I would have wanted it, because I'm going to offset that rectangle outward a small amount, about a quarter of an inch, I believe. Okay, and let's undo that. Let's create sharp corners, and let's go 3/16 instead of a full quarter. Okay. All right, I'm deleting this. So what this is going to do is now when I come in and create this this vector, and let's flip things now that I got things laid out. Let's take everything. I'm going to group it together for a minute, and I'm going to hit my 0 key on my keyboard to get back, twice, to rotate that clockwise 45-degree increments to get back where I was. Now I can come in and create my 2 toolpaths on this. So these guys here, this guy right here, it's going to be a V-carve toolpath for me, and it's only going to be 1/8 of an inch deep. I'm going to be using a 60-degree V-bit, and I'm going to use a flat area clearance tool of an 1/8 inch end mill. Now if my 1/8 inch end mill doesn't fit in the areas, then the V-bit will take over and carve those areas and everything. So this is going to be sheet 4. Sheet 4, side 2, decor. I'm just going to call it decor. And it's a 60 DEG V-bit. When I calculate this, it's going to create 2 toolpaths for me. One that says pocket, one that says 60-degree V-bit. Well, I want to change the name of this one that says pocket. I want to change the name of this one that says pocket and change this to my 0.125 end mill. So that way I know what bit I'm using. So let's take a look and well, let's not take a look yet. Let's be surprised. Let's do the parrot now. The parrot is a V-carve toolpath. There is no flat depth. I'm not going to do a flat depth on him. 60-degree V-bit, and this is going to be sheet 4, side 2, and I'm just going to call it parrot. And again, just a 60 DEG V-bit. Now this probably would look better with a smaller degree V-bit, like a 22-degree V-bit and stuff, because how close the vector lines and all are. If I don't get a whole lot of definition in this, in the parrot itself, then I will either change my bit to a 22-degree to get a little bit more depth out of it, or I'll choose a start depth. But let's see how we did. Let's kind of preview these visible toolpaths. So we got a pocket cut that's using our 1/8 inch end mill. We've got a V-carve cut. It's gonna, you know, flatten that stuff away. And then we've got our parrot cut up here. And let's take a look at the parrot cut. That's the one that's gonna trouble me the most. You know, the detail in it and everything. So let's add some color. And I'll probably go like a maroon or something, who knows. But you know, he doesn't look too bad. He doesn't look too bad. And the flowers don't look too bad. They're not really tropical. I'd probably go back and find some flowers like these Hawaiian, whatever they are, that are around the parrot here. Might find another design, but all in all, if you look at this, you know, oops. Let's turn this around here. Not too bad for a little tropical theme. All right, not too shabby. You know, it might not be to your liking or whatever, but you know, I've got a tiki bar and everything, so this tropical theme kind of, you know, will fit my tiki bar area and all that stuff. So, but I probably will look at something a little different in the florals. If I find something, I'll be sharing this file with you guys as well, so you have this file if you want to make one of these. And I'll provide this vector as well, but also I'll provide a vector, something maybe a little bit more tropical and stuff. But it will be that pocket raise. It'll still be that 1/8 of an inch deep pocket. Let's turn the color off so we can see what's happening there. But you know, it'll still be that pocket and everything to give that little bit of a raise and all that and everything. You know, and you know, I'm not worried about this dead space up here. You know, you don't always have to fill in everything. You know what I mean? But I might move the parrot head over and up a little bit. I'm not sure. Well, for right now, we'll leave that. Okay. So I like those vectors for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to copy them. Copy them. And then we're going to go over to sheet number 3. And I'm going to paste. And the only thing I need to do with this is mirror it. Okay, I want it to be a mirror image. So I'm going to take these while they're selected. I'm going to come into my mirror tool and I'm going to flip about job center, board center, and I'm going to flip vertically. Okay, all right. And then I can go ahead and create my. We'll just do it from scratch here. I won't duplicate any of the toolpaths and all, but we'll just grab this V-carve toolpath, flat depth of an 1/8 of an inch, 60-degree V-bit. My 1/8 inch end mill is going to be the flat area clearance tool. This is going to be sheet 3, side 2. What I call it, decor. I think I called it decor on the last one. And 60 DEG V bit. Click calculate. When it calculates, it's going to create 2 toolpaths for me. One of those toolpaths is going to have the word pocket. Maybe. Where are we at? Up here. Yep. And I want to change and rename that one and get rid of this and put 0.125 end mill. All right, so we've got that. We can reset that preview. So on that side, now we got the parrot to do. So let's grab him. That's just going to be a straight V-carve, no flat depth. And this is going to be sheet 3, side 2, 0.25. Nope, sorry. Parrot. 60 DEG VBit. Calculate him. Okay. Now the only thing I haven't done for sheet 3 is my alignment holes. So I need to go back over to side 1 over here, and I need to take my alignment holes and copy them to the other side. So let's copy those to the other side and come back. Now we're flipping back over to that other side so I can go ahead and create my pocket holes. Now this, mind you, this is going to be the waste board pocket holes. So it's a drilling operation, cutting 1/4 of an inch deep into the waste board, and this is going to be my sheet 3 waste board alignment holes, 0.25 end mill. So now if I look at my tool pass, let's get this one up all the way at the top. So I should have my waste board alignment holes for sheet 3. I should have my side 2 decor, flat area pocket, and my V-bit, and then I should have my parrot. So let's move that up. Okay, and then these 2 files, the decor and the parrot that are using the V-bit, they'll be saved at the same time, running the same toolpath. For sheet 4, I should have my sheet 4 waste board alignment hole, my side 2 decor pocket, side 2 decor V-bit, and then I should have my parrot, and then I should end with a final profile cut. So that should be all the tool paths for both sheet 3 and 4 for side 2. If we look at side 1, flip over to side 1, I've got my sheet 3 alignment holes, the holes that get cut in the board. I've got the pocket cuts of those grooves and a profile cut. Same thing for sheet 4. Alignment holes in the board, my pocket cuts, and my profile. So 3 and 4 are done. Those 2 side pieces are completely done. Now I just need to do 1 and 2, which is very simple. Let's do 1, knock 1 out real quick. There is not going to be a side 2 to sheet number 2. Let's do number 2 real quick, because this is just going to get cut straight out, not flipped over, but it is going to get some text up here. You know, this is where you can have some fun, you know, and whatever you want it to say and stuff. I want it to be a true type font. And now, you know, I've got all kinds of different fonts and stuff to choose from, and this could really make or break the design. Do I want it? What kind of font do I want it to be? So let's take a quick minute and let's look at Word Market, the font that helps select fonts, and that's Word, mark.it, guys. Wordmark.it. Word Market helps us choose fonts that are installed on our computer. So I want to enable Adobe Flash so it shows all of my fonts and everything that are on my computer. And then, you know, who knows? I might have something that says, you know, spice up your life. Who knows? I don't know what the top is going to say, but you know, it might just be boring and just say spices. You know, who knows? But I can type in a word, a phrase, a quote, whatever, and Word Market helps me, you know, see all the fonts that are installed on my computer to help me choose a nice font that kind of fits, you know, fits the theme. And if I don't have a font, then I can go to dafont.com and you know, hook it up from there. You know, download a free font from dafont.com. So let's see what we've got here. Marketing script looks pretty cool. I think I'm going to go with Ravi on this one. Ravie, Ravi. I think I'm gonna go with a Ravi on that one. Let me see here. Snap ITC looks fun. I want a fun font. And so I think Ravi, Raviola, Ravi's gonna, I think it's gonna fit the bill. So that's gonna be the font that I use, Ravie. So I need to come over here and let's scroll up to the R's. And we'll go with the Ravi here. All right, so let's go with a 2-inch. You know, I could go spices. I could go spice up your life. I could do something. I think I'm going to go boring. I'm going to be boring tonight. And I think I'm just going to go with the word spices. You know. And let's see. Let's look at the difference between if it was all caps or not. So that's lowercase. Let's go. All right. I'm going capitals. I like capitals on that one. You know. So I'm going to have these come down a little bit right about there. And let's get it centered. Select this rectangle here. Align to the center. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead and let's create the 2 toolpaths for this one. This one's a simple one. This is going to be a V-carve toolpath. Now these letters are big. So if I don't use a flat depth, if I go, when I calculate this, I'm not going to cut through, but it's going to be quite deep. Let me get positioned here. It's going to be quite deep, and in the Vectric software, you can run your mouse down and into the cuts and everything, and it'll show you the depth of the cut down at the bottoms. Now remember, I'm working off the bottom of my material, so when this says 0.2644 inches deep, in my case, I would subtract that from 3/4. So I'm you know, a little under ½ an inch here in the C, and you know, so I'm probably around 3/8, you know, or so deep and everything. And I don't, you know, necessarily, even if I, you know, were to paint this or something, I don't necessarily want to go that deep. I don't think it'll look good for me. So let's real quick pop back in here and set a flat depth. I'm just going to go 1/8 of an inch. Oh, you know what I might do? What if I could do it as raised letters. I could put a rectangle around it, little arch or something. Yeah, let's do this. We'll have a little fun with it. I want to do a little distortion real quick. I'm going to distort within a bounding box, and I'm going to turn this into a Bezier curve. Actually, an arc. Sorry, an arc. And let's pull this up about like that. Look how sexy that looks now. All right. Yeah, I like that. And let's go ahead and I'm going to offset this inward, just for it'll help me get my drawing a little bit. I'm going to offset it inward 3/16 of an inch like that. But I'm not going to pocket out and flatten all of this stuff up. You know, I'm going to limit this to, you know, probably this line here around and all. So let's go into node editing and let's delete this span here and this span. Same thing over here. Delete this span and this span. I'm going to take, let's get out of node editing for a moment. I'm going to take this and move it up right about there. And I'm going to use my extend tool, and I'm going to extend this line down to here. Extend this one down to here, and then I'm going to use my scissor tool just to trim and trim. Okay. All right. Now, if I was really creative, I would most likely probably find some tropical flowers and put one over here, maybe 2 palm trees or something, and a little bit of grass running along there, right? You know, gotta be creative, have some fun with it. And I'd probably do that, but I'm not going to for time's sake, okay? Because it's already 9:34. Let's go ahead but think about that, you know, think about how can we dress her up, you know, and stuff. But in this case, I'm going to do this raised, and I am going to use an 1/8 inch end mill. But yeah, some nice little palm trees on the side or something tropical to go with the side themes on that backboard would look pretty hot. You know, you just got to, you know, think about stuff like that. And this is sheet 2. Side 1, I mean, even though there's only one side. And 60, side 1. B-carve 60 DGV bit, and let's calculate her out. Okay, let's reset that preview, and let's do our profile cut real quick. Profile toolpath. This is cutting all the way through. It's not going to be flipped at all. 1/4 inch end mill on the outside. We're going to add some tabs in here. These tabs this time are going to be 1/8 inch. Because I am cutting from all the way through, and I'm going to put tabs here on the side. I'll probably throw 2 down here, and I don't like really getting tabs in the corners and all, so I'm just going to put maybe 1 right there and there. Actually not necessary at all, but I don't like having to sand on arches and stuff and all with tabs, so I'm going to stay away from that. But we'll go ahead and calculate. Let's see. This is sheet 2. Profile. Cut. 0.25 end mill. All right. Let's see how we did here. Let's preview our visible toolpaths. Let's see if we made anything that looks worthwhile. Okay. Yeah. Not too bad. I think that'll look good. It's kind of whimsical and playful and things. Looking at it now, might still look good with some raised palm trees or something over here and extending this box a little more and all. But for right now, I'm happy with it. So we'll call sheet 2 done. That means that's all I got left is sheet 1. Now keep in mind for sheet 1, there are 4 shelves. So we're going to be running the toolpaths for sheet 1 4 times on 4 separate boards. Okay? Because it's rinse and repeat. Okay? I don't need to make 4 separate sheets and all. I just need to run the toolpaths on 4 separate sheets because it's the same. They're all identical and everything. And this one's super simple. We got, let's close this out. We've got our, let's ungroup this so I can grab just the, these are just small, shallow recesses, pockets for the spices. And if you're making a Nic Nac shelf, by the way, if this is going to be some kind of like little Nic Nac shelf for little trinkets and all that stuff, you don't do the holes, right? You don't need to do this, you know, and stuff. I'm only going to go, gosh, maybe, I don't know, 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch. We'll go 1/8 of an inch. Sheet 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put times 4. I'll note, for me, I know what X4 means. 0.125 end mill. It means I've got 4, you know, 4 of these to run. All right, so let's calculate that out. Okay. And then let's do a profile cut, and we can call it done and done. Profile toolpath, cutting all the way through the material, 1/4 inch end mill Add some tabs. Oh, did I add ramping on the other profile? I don't believe I did. I need to. I want to add some ramping. Let me get these tabs in here real quick. That's all the tabs I need for that one. Okay, ramp. I want to do a zigzag ramp of 3/4 of an inch. This is sheet 1 x4 0.25 in mil. Let's give it a name. Profile cut 0.25 in mil. All right, let's go back real quick and let's look at sheet number 2 profile cut. And I didn't add a ramp, so I'm gonna add a ramp and calculate that. And I don't have to go back and reselect the vectors because it knows what vectors it was selected for. Let's go to this profile, sheet 4. Okay, I did have the ramp in that one, so that one's good. And let's switch over to the other side. Profile right here. And open it up. And nope, I need to add some ramp there. Oh, what sheet number was that one? Sheet 4. Okay. Okie dokie. Alright, now do I have a sheet 3 profile cut? No. What you thinking about there, buddy? Didn't have a profile cut. We got to cut it out. 3/8 of an inch deep. Add ramp. Want to get the ramp in there. Add tabs. Okay, my tabs did not translate over from the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to the other side real quick. I'm going to copy this vector to the other side and then flip back. And when I select it, my tab should be there. And I can calculate that. And this is sheet 3 profile cut 0.25 in mil. And again, I created a duplicate when I did that. Just keep that in mind. I did create a duplicate here. And if that bugs somebody, if that's like, oh man, we got a duplicate in there, what we can do is we can come in and our top layer is that one with the tabs, our top line here. If I take my up arrow key and just bump it up ever so slightly, right, this guy here, let's close this. If I bump that up ever so slightly, it bumps it off of the line below it, the profile line below, and I can just select on it and delete it. And then I can take this and bump this back down. You know what I mean? And what's crucial is, you know, that we end up, don't zoom in like I just did, but what's crucial is that we end up on our, you know, our vector line from the other side. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? And if you're like, ooh, I don't know if we got on that other, if we're off a little bit, then very easily delete it, right? Jump back over here, take this guy here, copy back over to the other side, flip over, open up that profile toolpath, reselect this, and hit calculate again, right? There's no, you know, if you're like, I don't like doing it the way you did it before, I'd much rather get rid of it and just recopy it clean, then do that. Do exactly that. Recopy it clean. Delete it and copy it clean. Alright, so we got all the tool paths and everything, and when all's said and done, we're going to have a pretty cool spice rack that's going to have some nice decoration on the sides. which are not illustrated in this project, this SketchUp project here, but it'll say spices across there and all, and hopefully you'll like the way it looks. And let's take a look at one of those sides one more time with everything and preview the visible toolpaths. And while we do that, let's see if we have any questions. I don't see any. Let's see here. Let's add a little bit of color. I'm just gonna go black. I'm not sure. I'll probably my kitchen theme has got a real dark maroon red and stuff. And so it may end up being kind of a deep dark maroon or something. Who knows? I don't know. But that's what the side would look like. Again, I'm going to go explore a little bit more, see if I can find another vector for the flourish. I'm going to do the same style and all. If I find something different, I'll make sure I include it in the file that I provide to you guys and girls and everything. And, for the most part, that's what it would look like. But I think I want to go more tropical with the flourish down below, so it kind of fits a little bit better. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's switch over real quick to my ugly mug here, and let's chat a bit. All right, do we have any questions on anything relating to this project or relating to anything else? But this could be a small little Nic Nac Shelf. It could be a spice rack like I'm making it. I'm making it for my tiki bar / kitchen, what have you. It could be applied to numerous things. Just that concept alone, we could put doors on the front with some raised panels and make a cabinet, widen things up, but it's the same process and stuff. You can make a really nice, cabinet or something, widen those boards from 5.5 to, 8 inches or so and make a shallow cabinet. Take the shelves out completely. Put some doors on the front of it with some nice decorative panels carved in and everything. Open it up, throw a dartboard in the middle and make a nice dartboard cabinet for your man cave. Whatever, right? You can have some fun with that. Just general, simple, basic design. It could be transformed using the same principles into whatever you want it to be. Now I have a very simple curvature on the front of the shelf. I decided to just stick with that. I could have been a little bit more ornate, in the design or something, but I thought, as I was going into it, a nice little curve like that will be fine and stuff. And I think the word spices is going to, being raised like that with that little playful font is going to be fun, and it'll fit in just right. I might throw some, in those 2 blank spaces next to spices, I might throw some surfboard vectors or something in there, or some palm trees. Who knows? Who knows where it'll end up, in its finished stage. But for right now, it's pretty much done. Just might spice it up a little. It's a spice rack after all. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? If not, we are going to wrap it up. We're going to call it a night. But I want to thank Dave Gatt for taking time out of his busy schedule and knocking out those CNC kits and everything to come over and join. Hopefully you're still with us, Dave, to hear this shout out to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to pop in and everything, and all. But everyone else, Nick, I want to thank you for throwing in a lot of comments and stuff and suggestions. And guys and girls, think about that. Your speeds and your feeds, your step overs, your pass steps and all. You can make minor changes in those settings and all to help shave points or time off of your runtime and things. If something seems a little long, go back and look at the design, look at the vectors. Is there a different way that you can calculate the tool path? Is there something you can do in the tool parameters themselves? Increase the step over, increase the pass depth. Don't go too crazy on the pass depth. Don't be too aggressive. You don't want to be breaking bits or anything, but different things like that, you can absolutely do that. And that's what Nick was throwing out there earlier, and he was saying, for him, for a pocket like that to help reduce the time of the pockets and stuff, a 75 to 80% of the bit diameter works well. Now, and that's fine. You really don't need the bit to be stepping over so tightly with a pocket cut. As long as you get a nice clean pocket as an end result, that's all that matters. So that 75 to 80% is, would be good, to help. And on that one piece, for that one cut, we're shaving off 3 minutes, but that's 3 minutes per piece. So that's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever the case may be. Anywhere we have a pocket, we could, utilize that if it applies, and, shave off a good, 20 minutes off the project in its entirety. You never know. But am I still streaming? Everybody got quiet on me. Should I be like Emerald Lagasse? BAM! Wake you up. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you guys saw this in the last video? You saw my little gear project and everything. Literally, it's a piece of plexiglass, bent as a stand. Some wooden gears just cut using Matthias Wandel's gear maker. Used his gear generator. Love that program. Go over to woodgears.ca and buy it if you're into making gears and stuff. And believe it or not, what's powering it is the little turntable motor from a microwave. Every time I got a guy who does recycling and stuff, and every time he gets a hold of a microwave, he brings me the turntable motor. So I've got like a dozen of them. And the little shaft for the turntable motor is epoxied to the bottom gear, and that's what's turning all the other gears. They're all loosely turning. The cool thing about the turntable motor is that if it gets jammed up, it just goes the other direction, which is pretty cool. So you can lock it up, and it'll turn. All it'll do is it'll turn the other direction. So if I lock it up, it'll just turn the other direction. So that's cool about the turntable motor. But yeah, fun stuff. And just using the same microwave cord that came with that turntable motor. Yeah, man. All right, thought you guys would enjoy that. That's just simple gears and all. They were spaced out, and a little turntable motor, and then they were mounted on a clear of 1/4 inch acrylic. And I heated it with a heat gun and bent it to create a little stand, so it stands. And of course, when it's all clean without my fingerprints all over it, looks pretty cool. All right, everybody. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate that comment. Thank you for following and subscribing. Thank everybody for following and subscribing. And until next time, I'll see you soon. I want to thank you for joining us tonight on Spindle TV, your best source for CNC CAD/CAM training videos. If you're watching Spindle TV on YouTube, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. You can find out more information about our training and products by visiting us at www.digitalwoodcarver.com.